welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're doing well. Oh my goodness, it's been a hot minute since I've sat down and done a talking video. And literally sat down. I'm sat on the floor again because for some reason I feel the most comfortable on the floor. If you've watched my last few videos, you will know that I've been traveling a little bit over the past couple of weeks. We've done a few trips around the island and then we went to the mainland, so I've been doing a lot of vlogs and haven't really done a talking video in a while. I know that a lot of you like talking videos because I guess I give more information, and some of you like vlogs because it shows more things. And to be honest, I've been trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with my channel and where to take it next. Right now, it's just a lot of things about being an expat and sharing around Vancouver Island and around BC and just kind of sharing the things that I've learned. But obviously, there's only so far I can go with that. And so I've been trying to figure out how to create content that is entertaining and fun and informative for you, but also that I enjoy making and that I can do well, and that kind of puts my own spin on things. When I was doing my research into different kind of styles and stuff, I did come across some Q&A videos, and I realized I haven't done a Q&A video for a really long time. I think the last one I did was an about me tag when I first started. So I figured that Q&A video is probably overdue. And so I'm gonna do the 10 most asked questions that I get as an expat. Hopefully you will find these informative, especially if you are moving or if you've moved, maybe you will resonate with a few of these things. But if you do, don't forget to let me know and check out my channel for more videos about living in a country that is not the place that you were born and raised in. So, shall we? Also, I have started to decorate my Mac. I never did this before. I always kept it very pristine and clean. And now I've just decided to decorate it with stickers that I have found on my travels. And personally, my favorite is the banana cat, So on to the questions. So the first question is, what do you like best about living in Canada? This is a really hard one because I like a lot of things. But I think if I had to really put it down to a single thing, it would just be the lifestyle. The lifestyle, as you've heard me talk about before, is really different, and it's very outdoorsy, and people have more hobbies, they do things with their time, and I found that in the UK that wasn't the same. Not as many people had hobbies, or at least not in my experience of where I was from, whereas in Canada there's a lot more outdoor activities and people doing things, and I just kind of like that lifestyle of going out and doing things with your friends. That's not just going to the pub. Obviously not everybody in the UK does those things, it's just based on my own experiences as always, but for me the lifestyle in Canada really is what I love most. And kind of on par with that also has to be the landscape and the nature, especially here out in the west. Not so much when I was in Toronto, but here in the west coast, every day I go outside and I'm so in awe of the nature and the beauty and just everything. This island and BC in general is just the most breathtaking place that I've ever lived, one of the most breathtaking places that I've ever been to, and honestly, the lifestyle and the landscape are probably my two most favorite things about living in Canada. The next question, what don't you like about living in Canada? Now, this would definitely differ if I was living back in Toronto, because if I was living back in Toronto, I would say the weather. The weather obviously is very cold in most parts of Canada around wintertime, and the winters are really, really long. And for the longest time, that's what I hated the most. Genuinely, that's why I couldn't stand the winters. I really disliked them. I got very, very sad seasonal affective disorder, and it wasn't nice. On the west coast, obviously it's a little bit different because the weather is glorious and we don't get cold winters. They're very, very mild. So the thing I think that I dislike the most now is, oh my gosh, this is really difficult. Probably the cost of living, because things in Canada are very expensive. Groceries and housing, depending on where you live, is very expensive, especially here in Victoria. Even groceries way up in the north, they're so expensive because it costs so much to transport them up there. So Canada's cost of living is probably one of the things that I dislike the most about living here. So the third question is, what is the hardest part about living in Canada? This is a hard question. The hardest part about living in Canada has got to be the proximity to home. So right now, for example, I haven't been home in almost 4 years, which is insane, and it's a little bit devastating. And sometimes with living abroad, you can't stop that from happening, and it's something that I definitely didn't really take into account before I left, and I thought I'd always be able to go home, like it's just a flight away. And although it is, you can't always get there, whether it's not being able to get time off work, or the flights don't line up, or you're applying for your PR and you get your permanent residency but you don't have your card, so you can't leave the country. Yes, that happened to me over Christmas time when I was supposed to be going home. COVID, you know, global pandemic stopping you from traveling, things like that. There are certain things that stop you from going home, and I think that's not just in Canada, I think that's any expat would experience that. I think those have proven to be the most difficult in times that have been really difficult. For example, losing family members back home, whether that's a shock or whether you know it's coming. I've experienced both while I've lived here, and that has been really difficult, not because I couldn't get home at those times, but because you're kind of grieving away from everybody else, and it kind of is this weird delay on it, and it makes going home even more difficult. And yeah, it's a little bit somber, but I'm gonna be honest, that is probably the hardest thing about living in Canada or living abroad in general. Number 4, what's the biggest change that you've had to face? Ooh, that's a hard one. I think, again, this has got to be a proximity thing. Obviously, when you move abroad, you're kind of starting again unless you know people or unless you have family in a place. So I think being away from everything that I knew and everything that I had grown up with and everything that I was familiar with, and having to start again, like literally from the very bottom, getting a bank account and a phone number and starting to get a credit rating and trying to get your first apartment and starting again on the career ladder, and being away from friends and family and not having that support, and even though it's the same language, kind of having to learn different things, different etiquette and different cultural rules. You know, the first time I ever went into a grocery store in Canada, it was I think that was one of the first times I've ever experienced true culture shock. It was the weirdest thing because even though you can get everything that you need at any grocery store, I didn't recognize any of the brands, and it's almost like reading them in another language, because, you know, when you go to a grocery store or, you know, a farm shop or anywhere back home, you kind of know what you're looking for. You either know the place that you're going or you know the brand that you're looking for and you know what you like. But when you start somewhere new, everything is different and you kind of have to figure it all out again. And in a way, that's kind of exciting and fun and new. But it's also a really big challenge because that culture shock it can be quite hard at times. So that's probably the biggest change that I've had to face, is just all of those little familiar everyday things, whether that's friends and family or things in a grocery store. Like, that's probably it. Number 5, has moving affected your career? Yes, definitely. When I was in the UK, I worked in the media marketing industry, so I looked for jobs initially in Canada to do with that. That's where I had my experience. I studied journalism at university and it just made sense, but it was very difficult to even get in the door for any interview as a newcomer, even though I had a degree and I had 3.5 years work experience in the job that I was going for. Nobody would look at me because I had a temporary visa and I was new to Canada. And as I've said before, Canadian experience is really, really important here. Therefore, I had to kind of pivot. I had to open the door to pretty much anything that came my way. And I ended up in a finance job, which is something that I never thought I would do. I was always interested in just trying anything, but I hated maths in school. It wasn't something that I studied, and I ended up in a financial job. It worked out really well. It was awesome for the time that I did it. But I definitely pivoted away from the career that I was going for in the UK. And I was kind of expecting that too. When I moved, obviously you kind of have to understand that you're kind of giving up that in order to have a life somewhere else. Therefore, you kind of have to embrace that change. And so it definitely changed the path that I was going on, but also what I want to do from there, because I think the more industries that you try, the more you know what you like and what you don't. It's kind of like like friendships, you know, the more people that you meet, the more that you understand what you like about people and what you don't. It's the same with working in different jobs and different industries. So coming to Canada changed my career in the fact that I didn't just pigeonhole myself into one thing like I might have done in the UK, where I might have only thought that I could only do that particular job in that particular industry. It opened up the doors to multiple industries, and now I work in a totally different industry and it's awesome and I love it. And that's been a really, really positive change. And I don't think I would have experienced that if I'd have stayed living in the UK. Number 6, how has your daily life changed? This is an interesting one. I don't watch what they call cable here because it's really expensive and kind of pointless because I don't like anything. Probably the same as a lot of people, but in the UK, I always watch like BBC and ITV and live TV, whereas now I don't, if that's daily life. I do a lot more things outdoors. I have a lot more hobbies. I've picked up a lot more hobbies. I spend a lot more time in the car. Canada's a big place, and to get pretty much anywhere, you need a car. That's probably a good one. I spend more time in a car on a day-to-day basis. I do a lot more road trips. Is that daily life? I guess. I spend a lot more time in the ocean, in the woods. I don't know what else to say. Number 7, what is your favorite food that you've discovered in Canada? Oh, I don't know. I can't really say that I've discovered anything new. Actually, no, I have. I know my favorite thing that I've discovered in Canada. The Loganberry. That doesn't sound very exciting, but let me tell you, this berry, my friends, is amazing. It's like a cross between a raspberry and a blackberry. It is incredible. The first time I ever tried one was here on Vancouver Island. You can get them for like a week and then they're gone. I missed them this year. Last year I got like the last box and I tried one and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever had in my life. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration, but those things are incredible here. They're so good. Fruit and vegetables are so fresh in BC. Honestly, I could go on for days. I don't know if that's very exciting, but definitely the Loganberry. If I had to pick, the Loganberry is my most favorite food that I've discovered in Canada. Number 8, what is your favorite part of the Canadian culture? For me, I think Canadian culture is the Indigenous culture. It's such a beautiful culture, and the more I learn about it, the more amazed I am about it. I love the connection to nature. I love the art. I love the stories. I love the community and the songs and how they make family such a main priority in their life. I think the Indigenous culture is just beautiful, and that is, I love it all. I love all of that part of the Canadian culture. Number 9, what has your move taught you? Oh, we could go really deep here. It's taught me a lot of things. It's definitely taught me that I am stronger than I thought I was. That I'm way more capable than I ever thought that I was. But I think the most important lesson that I've learned about moving abroad, and I think this comes with just kind of detaching yourself from everything and everyone that you're familiar with, and that is, it really doesn't matter what people think about you. What matters is what you think about yourself. This was something that I didn't know that I needed to learn, and I definitely learned it here. And whether that is just because of the move or just growing up or the experiences that I've had, both good and bad, but I've learned that the most important relationship that you can have is with yourself, and you genuinely have to love yourself to be able to love others in the way that they deserve. I used to do everything thinking about what others thought about me. So the way that I dressed and the way that I talked and what I did would always be, what are others going to think about me? How am I perceived by others? And now I don't think that as much. I think about what makes me happy and what I enjoy, and I wear things that put a smile on my face, and I do things that bring joy to me, not just because it looks nice or because I'm afraid of what other people might think of me. And whether that is because of moving or just getting older or a combination of both of them, I've definitely learned it while I've been in Canada, and I think that's probably the biggest lesson that I have learned. And also that the relationships and friendships that mean the most and that are the most real will stick with you no matter what. Distance really doesn't matter. It changes things, but it doesn't break the most important relationships with your friends and family if they really mean something. If people want to be your friend or they want to be in your life, they will make the effort to, and vice versa. If you want to be in someone's life, you have to make the effort. And yeah, I think just those things I've learned while I've been here, and they're definitely some of the best things that I have learned for sure. And finally, number 10, what do you miss most about England? Well, other than the standard friends and family, I think just being able to travel really easily and cheaply, you know, being able to get around England really easily. I don't think I ever took full advantage of it. I definitely traveled around a lot, but I didn't explore as much of England as I now wish that I had have done. I always kind of travel further. So I definitely miss being able to get to lots of different places really quickly. I miss kind of the countryside and where I used to live with the sandstone houses and the cows and the sheep and the horses in the fields and Yorkshire. I miss all of that. I really do. There's nothing like the English countryside. The north of England has my heart. It really does. It will always be my home, and I'll always miss it. And I don't know if I'll ever go back. Maybe one day, who knows, but I'll always miss it. That's the thing that I miss the most. It's obviously friends and family, but just Yorkshire and the countryside and being able to drive around the countryside and just everything around Yorkshire. I miss it a lot. Okay, that is all of the questions. I hope that you enjoyed this. I think this is going to be quite a long one. Obviously, I haven't edited this video yet, but I feel like it's going to be a long one. So if you've stuck around to the end, thanks. I hope that you learned something new about me or living abroad in general. Hopefully that it helped you or it entertained you, or it was just a nice way to spend a little part of your day. If you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel for more. It really does help to push this video to others that might also be interested. So if you did, I'd really appreciate it. If you liked and commented and, I mean, subscribed, only if you want to, because I post videos every single week. So if you like this and you want more, there'll be more. Until my next video, I hope you have the most wonderful day, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.